It's a beautiful night outside in Las Vegas, and a rare night in the boxing world, as on this particular evening, as many as 40,000 fans may be watching live boxing matches in Las Vegas, including a complete sellout here in the Thomas and Mack Center for this terrific pay-per-view card. Hail of the tape now for the first bout of the evening. Guillermo Rigondeaux against Robert Marroquin in the 122-pound weight class. You see the 8-year age advantage for Marroquin. Rigondeaux is a former Cuban Olympian who came to the United States within the past 3 years. A 3.5-inch height advantage for Marroquin. A 1-inch arm length advantage measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in right on the division limit. Rigondeaux has gone up 6 pounds overnight. Marroquin will go into the ring with an unofficial 6-pound weight advantage over the heavily favored Guillermo Rigondeaux. Let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, bienvenidos. Welcome to an evening of world-class professional boxing live on HBO pay-per-view, and it's all brought to you by Bob Arum's Top Rank Boxing and Lou DiBella's DiBella Entertainment. These bouts are sponsored by Tecate, Con Character, AT&T Rethink Possible, and Win Las Vegas. All bouts sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. This bout also sanctioned by the World Boxing Association. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this contest will be Glenn Feldman, Robert Hoyle, and Richard Ocasio. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, a member of the World Boxing Hall of Fame, referee Robert Byrd. And now let's get this party started. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBA Super Bantamweight Championship of the World. Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with white, red, and green, official weight 122 pounds. His professional record, outstanding. 22 victories, including 15 knockouts, only 1 defeat. From Big D, Dallas, Texas, the challenger, Roberto Marroquin. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing orange with purple, officially weighing also 122 pounds. He's a 2-time Olympic gold medal champion, and now, as a professional, has a perfect record consisting of 10 fights, 10 victories, including 8 KOs by way of Cuba. Now training and fighting out of Miami, Florida, USA, the undefeated WBA Super Bantamweight World Champion, Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux.
Okay, gentlemen, I gave you instructions in the dressing room. I'm gonna remind you of now is when I say stop, pare. I don't want no punching, no tire de golpes, okay? Fuera limpio, give me a clean break. Protect yourself at all times, obey my commands at all times. Gentlemen, let's do this.
What an unusual and excellent, just terrific matchup to start out this pay-per-view card. Rigondeaux, one of the real special talents in that kind of defense. He doesn't punch like Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux can punch.
Rigondeaux's treating Marroquin with a lot of respect early on. Marroquin with that wide stance, looking for a way to penetrate.
Yeah, the only thing you don't like about what Marroquin is doing is he's coming straight down the pipe. And Rigondeaux is laid back, waiting on him to come down the pipe, so anytime he comes, Rigondeaux is going to try to hit him with a counter.
Rigondeaux is so interesting to watch that even when they're standing there posing in the middle of the ring, there's still there's something to look at.
Well, but he's a pure counterpuncher. And, you know, in a fight on the undercard at Cowboy Stadium in Dallas, when Manny Pacquiao fought there, he elicited tons of boos from the crowd because he was fighting against an opponent who simply wouldn't attack him. Rigondeaux is so disciplined. If the other guy isn't going to make noise, there's no noise.
That's exactly right.
That was the worst performance of Rigondeaux's pro career, and he won.
And you got to look at nowadays with a guy like Rigondeaux, we never really hear often of a guy with 10 fights being the world champion.
Of course, there's 300-something amateur fights and 2 Olympic gold medals.
Of course.
And there's also the question of Rigondeaux's chin. When you have a southpaw with a great defense and a puncher, don't get the chin tested too often, Roy.
No, he doesn't get it tested too often. That may be why he has such immaculate defense.
Because he doesn't want to take one on the chin.
For those among you who note that it's unusual to be hearing from Roy Jones on a pay-per-view show like this, we want to point out that Emmanuel Stewart is still back home in Detroit, under the weather, not feeling well, was advised by doctors not to travel this week. We wish him all the best.
Rigo, don't stay there. Remember, every time he's throwing, go through the other side. Through your right hand, okay? You got to keep your right hand up and throw one up and one to the bottom, okay, Rigondeaux?
Stop from one shot,
Take that away from the eye.
Don't stop on one shot. Don't stop on one shot, Robert.
Round one was a disciplined war of nerves. Roy Jones, how is Marroquin going to set up his vaunted left hook against such a strict, disciplined counterpuncher as Rigondeaux?
It's almost impossible because Rigondeaux keeps his weight on his back leg, which is the farthest distance away from Roberto. So Roberto can't get a short left hook across because Rigondeaux stays too far away from him. The only way possible to make that happen is to make Rigondeaux commit with his left hand and throw the left hook at the same time.
Marroquin steps in with a right hand first.
How do you even throw the left hook to Rigondeaux's body the way he protects it with his elbow?
Yeah, you don't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. The only way he can do that is like his corner told him, add 2 or 3 punches together. Don't throw just one. So if he pushes him back and gets him to stop at some point like that, when he counters, that was the time to land the left hook. So you got to trade with him almost. But what other chance does he have?
And he can turn out the lights with one punch, Rigondeaux.
This is textbook boxing. And by the way, the cut above Marroquin's right eye was, according to the Nevada State Athletic Commission, caused by an accidental butt, not by a punch. And of course, as we pointed out many times, conventional fighter against southpaw. Not unlikely that their heads will come together at some time.
Another odd thing about Rigondeaux is he paws with the jab. It's like a rangefinder, but I don't see him throwing it seriously to knock his opponent's head back.
No, because he throws a jab like I used to use a jab, kind of, which is only to make the guy come in after it. If you can bait him in with a jab, then you try to set him up. That's all Rigondeaux's doing. He's not trying to land the jab. He just throws it as something to keep you busy or to give you a reason to come in behind it. Then he can counter.
We hear about the NFL being a copycat league. Something works and all the teams adopt it. Roy, do you think that you had an influence there in your style and suddenly a lot of fighters imitating that kind of offense?
Not with the Cubans, because the Cubans
when he still had his fastball maybe in Cuba throwing 98 miles an hour.
September 29, Boxing After Dark returns with a triple header. Edwin Rodriguez against Jason Escalera. Nick Darchinian faces Luis Orlando Del Valle. Also, Alex Perez fights Antonin Decari. October 13, more Boxing After Dark, more good matchups. 122-pound champ Nonito Donaire up against Toshiaki Nishioka, who hasn't lost in 6 years, and in what could be a classic war. In fact, Max Kellerman says fight of the century. Brandon Rios against Mike Alvarado. They're both unbeaten.
Right here you see Rigondeaux roll his jab and follow with a straight left hand, hit Marroquin high on the eye, right on that cut as a matter of fact.
CompuBox numbers through 2. Rigondeaux, a very cautious 18 of 93, 19%. Marroquin, 9 of 54, can't find the holes in the defense, can't find a target at which to throw.
Very discouraging when a guy doesn't show you anything, and that's the problem. Rigondeaux doesn't show you anything. He's not like a sitting duck. He sticks that jab out there to keep you from seeing anything, and the way he's holding his hands and his shoulder doesn't allow you to see a straight line to his chin. So it causes you to sit back and not punch as much as you should punch.
There's the first real attempt at a left hook for Marroquin, and it was nowhere near landing.
Sense watching Rigondeaux that it's like a Predator movie where he's studying the opponent and he's getting some kind of computer readout that only he can see, and then he finds the flaws and exploits them.
That's exactly what he's doing. And unless you put so many punches out there that he can't really register in time, then you're going to find yourself on the bad side of those punches.
Come up, Guillermo. Come up.
This is really kind of a no-lose for Marroquin, isn't it, Max? I mean, frankly, not many people expect him to really have a chance to win the fight. If he puts up a good showing and extends Rigondeaux and competes with him in some way, he'll probably enhance his reputation.
I expect Marroquin to have some big wins before his career is over. And when you can whack with the left hand like he can.
He just caught Rigondeaux with a good left hook, though.
See, there you go.
Another one, and he stunned Rigondeaux with that left hook. Now let's see if he can follow up as the Cuban fighter is holding on. And Marroquin's roughhousing to try to get a chance to throw another shot.
Yeah, Rigondeaux is very badly hurt right now. He's acting like he's not, but he's very badly hurt.
That's why I'm surprised at how few people gave Marroquin a chance to win this fight. He can whack with that left hand.
And he can punch, and he can box because he fought some really good fighters in this time as well.
It was a right hand that got Rigondeaux in trouble. Marroquin missed with the left hook in the follow-up attempt here. But Rigondeaux is still not fully out of the woods here, and Marroquin gets him again with a right hand.
Got wins against Gary Russell Jr. and Adrian Broner in the amateurs. You're not sweating anybody.
No, you shouldn't be. And Rigondeaux's right eye is closing now from that left hook, look like.
So some good offensive thrusts here in the third round for Robert Marroquin.
Yeah, if he goes ahead right now and starts to trade with Rigondeaux, I think he'll find himself in a better position.
He tried a looping uppercut from too far away, and that gave Rigondeaux a chance to pop it back. Now another straight right hand down the pipe lands for Marroquin.
But he traded then a right hook for a left hand, for a straight right hand. That was a good trade for Marroquin.
Why is he hitting him with the right hand? Is it because Rigondeaux has to be wary of the left hook?
No, he's doing what I said he had to do to get to Rigondeaux. When Rigondeaux opens up to punch is when you have to punch. That's the only way you're going to catch him.
Willing to exchange.
There you go.
Another right hand lands for Marroquin before the end of the round, and he made himself competitive right there with a terrific showing in round 3. Before our main event, share your prediction for Chavez Martinez by participating in our tweet battle. Visit hbo.com/connect and tweet. Either Chavez wins or Martinez wins. Here are the current results in the tweet battle to this point. Very even. Even though at the time of the weigh-in yesterday, Martinez was getting more than 70% of the votes. Now, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.'s fans and supporters have chimed in. We have something like, the national general election there.
There you see Quinn followed that left hook followed that jab back with the left hook. Perfect counter shot. That hurt Rigondeaux pretty bad there.
And it was after that that Marroquin landed a right hand.
Oh, another hit, but two.
Put Rigondeaux in more trouble. And CompuBox numbers on power shots in the third round. Rigondeaux 10 of 23, Marroquin 11 of 33. But the harder shots were landed by Marroquin. Harold, how do you have it through three?
Okay, Jim, 29 of 28, 2 rounds to 1. Guillermo Rigondeaux. Jim, I thought he pulled out the first 2 rounds. You know, landing that nice, hard, straight right hand, standing in the middle of the ring with his legs spread wide apart, hardly any clinches. But in the third round, that left hook really staggered Guillermo Rigondeaux. I mean, Roberto Marroquin, I thought, really did some damage in the third round. He deserved to get that third round. 2-1, Rigondeaux.
Roy, with an eye toward what we're going to see in the main event, Marroquin unofficially outweighs Rigondeaux by 6 pounds coming in here. Now, we're in the 122-pound weight class where 6 pounds actually means something. Do you think that weight advantage is playing in Marroquin's favor already?
I definitely think it is. I think that's why he was able to hurt Rigondeaux so easily, because his weight, this is bigger weight disparity than the heavier weight guys. So with it being a lighter weight class, 6 pounds means much more. It's more like 9 or 10 pounds in the middleweight division.
Straight left hand by Rigondeaux moves Marroquin back. Flurry of body shots as Marroquin came in to get close, trying to throw another left hook.
It's not just that Marroquin has the bomb with the left hook, it's that he has a delivery system. He's a skillful fighter, and that's a combination, especially with young legs, fast hands. Dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Well, he did what he did in the third round, just to repeat what Roy said earlier, against a guy whom Freddie Roach called the best defensive fighter he's ever seen.
That's exactly right. And that shows you his pedigree. You know, you have to have a great amateur background to be a great professional, to me, in most cases. And we haven't seen him a lot, but we know here that he has to know how to fight because he has wins over some top-notch professional fighters.
It's a style and a look, that of Marroquin, which will sell some tickets if he can win big fights. Right hand over the top, went to the top of Marroquin's head. Rigondeaux's head, I should say. Rigondeaux sneaked in a right-hand counterpunch underneath. There's another left hook that lands for Marroquin.
And Marroquin is getting a little closer to Rigondeaux now than he was earlier, so now maybe he can land that big left hook because he's much closer fight-wise now than he was in the earlier rounds.
Marroquin was on the undercard of Pacquiao Margarito, as you mentioned, Jim, and that night had all the look of a star, and he's showing why we thought that not that long ago tonight.
Waited to land a big shot in round 4, though, and was not able to do so, and Rigondeaux popped him enough to probably take the round.
Big first, Robert. The big first. You're waiting on it. You got to make him fight, Robert. So you're letting him counter too much on you. You got to throw more than one. Feel all right? Okay, come on.
Don't stay there. Don't stay there. Move. Move to the outside. Be careful with that left, all right? You put your shot to the body and then up top. Come on, just like you did in the gym. Let's go. Bring your right hand up. And move your legs. Come on, you know how to work. Don't let him take it away. Work it up top.
Rigondeaux's trainer is Jorge Rubio. You heard the very calm Paul Reyes in Marroquin's corner saying you got to make him fight. You're going to have to throw more than one punch at a time. Asking Marroquin to be a little bit more aggressive and make Rigondeaux work harder. Power shots in round 4. Rigondeaux 12 of 28. Marroquin 2 of 15. Exactly the point that Reyes was making. Can't throw only 15 shots when the other guy's throwing 28 of them. Down goes Marroquin on the perfect straight left hand by Rigondeaux. Marroquin leaned into that punch. First time he's ever been knocked down in his professional career. That was just a perfectly timed shot.
That's all it was, a perfectly timed shot. Just like that right hook right there. Now Rigondeaux has gotten comfortable, starting to show out a little bit, but Roberto needs to do something to steal the momentum back.
What do you think he's seen in Marroquin that's making him this bold after the knockdown?
Well, he realizes now that he can knock him down. He didn't know that earlier. Now he knows he can, so he thinks he's put a little fear in Marroquin.
But he also knows that Marroquin can hurt him, and he's in punching range with his hands down at times.
Well, but he has the timing like down pat now. Once you go past that second, third round, you usually can tell what a guy's going to do before he does it. If you're a good athletic person like he seems to be, like Rigondeaux seems to be.
And when he drops his hands, Max, like that, he has interesting feints. Very subtle little movements, which are eye-catching and bound to be a little bit of a rhythm disturber for the opponent.
That's a good point. He has unorthodox moves, and Marroquin's very good, but he's much more orthodox and therefore predictable.
But what Marroquin needs to do is just like his corner told him, throw more punches so hopefully you can get an exchange. In the exchange, you have the better chances because you're 6 pounds heavier.
Now we're starting to see the beginning of what we saw from Rigondeaux in his last fight, where he literally rehearses with the feints and then throws the punch in real speed, as though he wants to see what it looks like before he throws it.
And he does that to make the guy keep his hands at home. If he's doing that, as you see, Marroquin ain't punching back when he do that. So anytime he can stick those feints out there and make Roberto keep his hands at home, then he doesn't have to worry about being hit.
Sort of freezes the opponent with the feint and then goes ahead with the punch. Marroquin searching to land the big shot. Couldn't get it off before the end of the round.
Put more pressure on this guy. Back it up. Come on. The guy can't fight when he's backing up, Rob.
Bring it over here. Bring it over here, man. Right here.
Marroquin, who had never been down in his pro career, instantly realized that his knee had touched the canvas and went to the neutral corner. Through 5, average CompuBox numbers per round. Rigondeaux 13 of 50, Marroquin 5 out of only 31. Not getting off enough, as his trainer Paul Reyes told him a couple of rounds ago.
Rigondeaux looked like Mike Tyson getting to the outside of that jab and countering like that.
Good straight left hand by Marroquin. Straight right hand, rather. Marroquin has to find a way to put Rigondeaux on the defense. Make him use his hands for defense, then he can use them less for offense.
Responding wildly to something here, but we focus on the action in the ring. Obviously, there'll be a rivalry in the stands tonight between Argentine fans, many of whom are up and waving flags, and Mexican fans, Mexican-American fans, who are waving flags of their own. And the chanting begins. Chavez, 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 and now the Argentines will try to drown that out as Marroquin and Rigondeaux go on about their business in the ring.
Yeah, they don't have a clue of what's going on outside the ring. They're just fighting. And I guess they think they're getting a lot of cheers for how they look.
Rigondeaux rehearses the straight left, then throws a little right instead.
He still allowed Marroquin to get too close to him now, though, because if Marroquin just starts punching more like that, he'll land some punches. He's just not throwing enough. But he has closed the gap. He's close enough to Rigondeaux now that he can land his punches if he throws them.
Now he gets power on the punches, but misses with the left hook. A couple of seconds ago, he landed a good right hand, but didn't really have full power on it. That's one of the things a great defender can do, is to move just at the last second and make you take something off the punch to land it.
But you got to keep throwing more. Good body shot by Rigondeaux.
Well, if you've been watching 24/7 of the build-up to Sergio Martinez against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it will not surprise you at all that Martinez was the first to arrive in the arena tonight. Came in at 5:30 p.m. His trainer Pablo Sarmiento there at his left shoulder as they walk through the hallway to Sergio's dressing room. He was carrying an Argentine flag of his own. And then about an hour later, 53 minutes later to be exact, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. with his entourage. More and more comfort with the camera in recent weeks. Julio with a little wave to all of you at home as he made his way in at that time. So both main event fighters are now in the arena and preparing for their big show. Middleweight championship showdown between a guy with a belt and a big following and another guy who has the legitimate championship but not as big a following. Round 7 of a scheduled 12 between Guillermo Rigondeaux in the orange and magenta trunks and Robert Marroquin in the black with green, red, and white. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, 59-54, 5 rounds to 1, Guillermo Rigondeaux. He's picking up he's getting a substantial lead on the cards, Jim. I mean, after 6 rounds, he's up 5 points. He deserves an extra point to round 5 for the knockdown. He took him off his feet. Yeah, that's a 10-8 round in favor of Rigondeaux. I got to tell you something. The great Cuban trainer Orlando Coya once described Guillermo Rigondeaux to me as the greatest 5-round fighter in the world, meaning that he fought over 300 times in the amateurs, all 5-round fights. So, I mean, Marroquin is taking him into the late rounds. He's got a good chance to come on and maybe take control of the fight. 5-1, Rigondeaux.
Reminds me that the very great Cuban heavyweight Olympic star, Teofilo Stevenson, recently passed away. And one of the great unanswered questions of our lifetime, Roy, was what would Teofilo Stevenson have been as a professional had he had to fight 10, 12 rounds?
Oh, my goodness. What wouldn't we have liked to have known?
He had craft, right?
Yes, he did. One big punching guy with skills. That was the thing about it. He was a big guy who had skills. Anytime you get a big guy as big as he was with skills, you have a deadly package in front of you.
Also a courtly gentleman who was a pleasure to deal with.
Yes, he was. How many gold medals did he end up winning, Jim? 3?
And would have been 4 had it not been for the boycott in Moscow in 1980.
That's telling you a lot right there.
Well, check it. Let me take that back. He won the gold medal in Moscow in 1980 because the Cubans were there.
Right.
So, in fact, that was the 3rd of his 3.
Okay.
72, 76, and 80.
Rigondeaux here is doing all the fighting now. It's not good for this kid Roberto Marroquin to let him just continue to come at him like that. If he doesn't throw punches, Rigondeaux is eventually going to catch him.
Well, Marroquin's in a situation now where he's gradually reaching the point where he would have to have a knockout to win the fight. Will he alter his tactics as the result of that? Or is it simply impossible against a guy as precise as Rigondeaux?
No, that should have been his plan coming in, is to knock Rigondeaux out, because he's not as smooth or as smart a clever boxer as Rigondeaux is. His only chance is to knock the champ out. Rigondeaux is a great 5-round fighter, not a great 12-round fighter. Yet.
Now let's see if Marroquin has the stuff with which to force him to show what he can do over the closing rounds. September 22, join me for another edition of the Fight Game. Our main topic of conversation, the fallout from the competing boxing shows here in Las Vegas tonight. October 27, undefeated prospect Thomas Delorme takes on his toughest test yet in Carlos Abregu. Mauricio Herrera, coming off the superb fight against Mike Alvarado, faces undefeated Karim Mayfield, and Argenis Mendez versus Art Hovhannissian. Thomas Delorme, on Boxing After Dark, October 27, may become the inheritor to Miguel Cotto as the pride of Puerto Rico. He has the skills.
Okay, y vamos a seguir con ella. Dale cosas, muéveme la pierna, mueve el cuerpo, vamos, vamos.
Round 8 of the scheduled 12 between Guillermo Rigondeaux and Robert Marroquin of Dallas.
And when I say Rigondeaux is not a great 12-round fighter yet, that means he hasn't had for 10 fights. So we haven't seen him in a lot of 12-round fights yet. And that's why I would think that you want to take him somewhere that he hasn't been as much.
Well, in the 10 professional fights, Rigondeaux has 8 knockouts. And incidentally, this fight was on and off and on and off 3 times because of Rigondeaux's legal battle with a former manager in Miami. As recently as 5 days ago, Marroquin thought that he was fighting a different fighter, a taller, conventional fighter, not a shorter southpaw. So Marroquin's the one whose preparation for the fight was constantly disrupted by the changing opponent situation. Rigondeaux just stayed in the gym and trained, and was himself, in his view, oblivious to the legal situation. He always knew that if he was going to fight, it was against Marroquin. Advantage Rigondeaux.
Yeah, you're right. And now we'll know for sure in a round or two if he really trained or if he didn't train. 9 times out of 10, he was in the gym already because he made weight pretty easily, it seems. So I can almost guarantee you that he probably was trained. And by the way, Marroquin just missed him barely with a good right hand that may have caused problems right before the referee broke him up.
But in boxing, a miss is as good as a mile.
Well,
more so here than anywhere else, probably.
My point being, though, is that he's close enough now to land that punch.
Absolutely. Straight left hand lands for Rigondeaux. Marroquin keeps trying to set himself for the perfect shot.
Yeah, you can't do that when you fight a guy who is as elusive as Rigondeaux is.
Two or three imperfect shots would be a lot better than just waiting like this.
That'll be your best out because you're never going to see a perfect shot on him. Good body shot by Rigondeaux.
And this is where these feints come in. He rehearses one punch and then either throws the same punch or throws another one. Putting into your head, you know, well, all right, he rehearsed a little right hook. Is he going to throw it? Oh, nope, there's a straight left hand.
See, he threw the right hook short, lightly first, then he threw it with thunder the second time. Then go the third time, too.
I have never seen anybody feint exactly the way he does.
Feint with his punches. Or he uses punches for a feint.
Left hook to the body by Marroquin. His best shot in a while.
Yeah, he should.
That's another thing he hasn't done.
Right.
Well, if you haven't heard from Max Kellerman for the last round and a half, that's because he's back in the hallway doing interviews with the main event fighters, which we'll be showing you very shortly as the evening goes on.
Manténme la mano esa de arriba.
rounds ago, we told you that CompuBox numbers had Marroquin averaging 31 punches per round. Now he's down to 29 punches per round, so the punch output is dropping as Rigondeaux is asserting more and more control over the fight as we go along. Subtle control. It's not as if he's blowing Marroquin out, but that isn't the kind of fighter Rigondeaux is.
No, he's not. And like you said, on the amateur level, it's very difficult to win or to deal with that new scoring system they have. Freddie told me yesterday also that Rigondeaux has 2 separate streaks of 200, I think 100 wins in a row.
So he's consistent.
Yes, very consistent.
Even if fighting him amounts to death by 1,000 cuts, he's going to get the 1,000 cuts in. I believe I saw a graphic that indicated Marroquin has landed a number of body shots down in the single digits. That's just not going to get it done.
No, it's not. And he has to be willing to take another gamble.
He's got a risk.
Yeah,
That's right.
He's not really gambling right now. You're not going to win just sitting here, so you may as well take a gamble.
All right, now Rigondeaux rehearses his straight left, then rolls the gloves. Rejoined now at ringside by Max Kellerman.
Oh, there you go.
Hard left hook by Marroquin, knocks Rigondeaux into the corner. Now's the time to unload, and Marroquin's trying to do it.
And now if he just keeps this up, now the referee giving him a time now.
That's referee Robert Bird, a really good one. Haven't called his name all night because he hasn't needed to be a big part of the action.
He is a very good referee. I thought that was a little bit unfair because Marroquin had a competitive advantage at that moment.
Yeah, but Marroquin caused that himself because he was hitting after the ref said stop, so Bird did his job.
Right hand lands for Marroquin. Little straight right hand inside, found the jaw of Rigondeaux. So those are 2 good shots in this round for Marroquin. Needs to crowd him and unload.
That's exactly right. He has to gamble. If he doesn't take risks, he can't win. If he takes risks, he sees that the 6 pounds obviously is having an effect on Rigondeaux, so use it. Put some gloves on his chin.
And if you wonder what the 6 pounds is, they both weighed in at 122. But Marroquin enters the ring unofficially at 134 to 128 for Rigondeaux. So there's a 6-pound functional weight advantage. You can see that Marroquin's just the bigger guy in every way. Bigger shoulders, bigger trunk, bigger legs.
He's also just a good, young, athletic fighter who knows what he's doing and can whack with the left hand. In with a master, but he's given the master 2 very dramatic moments so far.
Rigondeaux has spent the latter part of the round staying away, not landing, so Marroquin at the very least may have a chance to have won this round with the 2 good clean shots that he got in.
Gotta keep your hand up. He's hitting you with that hand. Keep it up. This man can't hit you if you do your thing. What's wrong? Let's go. He can't touch you. Don't stand there. Don't stand there. Throw and move your body. Move your trunk. Move your upper body. You gotta keep your guard up. Don't lean against the ropes. Get in the center of the ring and move to the sides.
Here you see Rigondeaux showboating a little bit, but he doesn't realize that he's showboating in the corner. So when he tries to throw the jab, Roberto steps in and lands that big left hook that we've been talking about, almost took Rigondeaux down.
Now here Paul Reyes and Miguel Diaz reacting in Marroquin's corner to that big left-hand shot. Round 10 of a scheduled 12. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim. 88, 82, 7 rounds to 2. Guillermo Rigondeaux. You know, Jim, I got to tell you, it just bothers me that in a world title fight, the challenger doesn't try, you know? And that's what was happening for about 8 rounds. But then, all of a sudden, in the 9th round, Roberto Marroquin nailed him. But the problem was, you know, you got to be a finisher. You know you're so far behind on the scorecards, jump on a guy. You know, he tried it, and Robert Bird broke him up, and after that, he didn't throw another punch. He's just doing too little in there to win the fight. So, 8 rounds to 2, Rigondeaux.
In Rigondeaux's case, I think that's a lot easier said than done, because not only do you have to hit a very elusive target, but he's throwing bombs back at you, and they're laser-guided bombs, Roy.
That's exactly right, Max, and I was about to say that myself. Just like the uppercut to the body just landed coming in. Every time you come at Rigondeaux, if you don't hit him, there's a price that you're going to pay for it.
Right, saying, oh, go pressure him, throw a lot of punches. You go in and try.
And you miss him, you're going to pay the price for it.
Third time into the 10th round for Marroquin. Third time into the 10th round for Rigondeaux.
And if Rigondeaux can avoid that left hook for the rest of this fight, then the kind of fighters who should try are the elite in the division, the Donaire level fighters.
Every time Marroquin gets in and lands a couple of shots, Rigondeaux becomes extra cautious for about the next round and a half. Going back into the deep freeze. Bob, weave, low body shot. Bob, weave, little hook to the arm.
What is a little
there
annoying
he throws a 1-2.
About Rigondeaux's style is when we've seen, for example, Pernell Whitaker, slick southpaw, you couldn't hit, great fighter. But because the jab was busy, he was constantly putting hands on his opponent. Rigondeaux can go long stretches where he's not putting his hands on the other guy because he's not throwing the jab.
Good shot.
There's a jab.
Up shoot right hand, Rigondeaux does it again. Twice hit Marroquin with that same shot.
Time. Only got two left, Roberts. Come on. You can finish strong, can't you? Come on. Just 2 rounds. You got to do
Let's go, you gotta throw hard. Let's go, we gotta do it. And keep working to that jab. Don't stand there in front of him. Move your upper body. Move things, do things. When you throw, he doesn't throw. When you throw, he doesn't throw. Let's go, we're doing good. We're good. Put the hands in so he goes down.
Moving now to round 11. First time to the 11th round for Robert Marroquin. Rigondeaux with a solid lead on Harold Letterman's unofficial scorecard. The rounds haven't been terribly difficult to score. It's good straight left hand by Rigondeaux. Right on the face. Yep. It's very hard to mount a conventional attack against as good a conventional defender as Guillermo Rigondeaux. That's why Roy Jones and the rest of us have been more or less urging Marroquin to fight in a more aggressive style, brawl a little bit, dispense with all of this pretty boxing, which isn't going to get it done. But it's very difficult for a fighter to suddenly switch in midstream and do something he hasn't been trained to do in his whole career.
Yeah, this is true, but he's getting hit anyway. If you're going to get hit anyway, why not hit the other guy back at the same time?
Well, let me make an argument for Marroquin. He's had Rigondeaux do a real dance with his legs twice, almost knocked him down twice, and that left hook has yet to land on Rigondeaux's chin. That was higher up on the head that he did that damage with the hook. So when you know you can hurt the guy with one punch, maybe he doesn't feel he should throw caution to the wind until the last round.
I'll be trying to get over it before the last round.
Last round's only 3 minutes long, and he's getting popped right here as Rigondeaux is targeting straight right hands and straight left hands. Landing his jab, landing his straight left, drawing blood from the nose of Marroquin.
Good right hand by Marroquin.
That's the thing to do. Go ahead and let it rip. Your nose is already bloody. Can't get bloodier.
Saw Randall Bailey with Mike Jones not long ago get outboxed the entire fight and waited to land one of those big shots and landed it and knocked him out.
There's only one Randall Bailey.
That is true, Jim.
But this kid is capable of doing the same thing. He's just got to throw the punches. He's not throwing the punches.
Randall Bailey is one of the all-time edge-of-your-seat guys. Because as he showed against Jones, he can go 9 or 10 rounds doing nothing, and it only takes one shot.
That's the beautiful thing about boxing.
Absolutely. Showcase round for Rigondeaux, who bloodied Marroquin's nose and landed a couple of good body shots to finish off the round.
The bucket, the bucket. Be careful, you gotta throw, you gotta be careful. You gotta give your hands up and move your upper body. You gotta throw up top. The guy's finished. But focus. Focus, eye to eye. Get your distance. At your same distance, that's what you do now. For 2 shots.
This is the last round, Robert.
Cautious.
You gotta let the right hand go, Robert. Come on, double it up. Nothing but doubles, Robert.
Touch him up.
Round 12. Robert Marroquin of Dallas in the black trunks. Guillermo Rigondeaux of Cuba, now fighting out of Miami, in the orange and magenta.
Magenta, a color we very rarely see in the boxing ring.
I'm so happy to see it. There's just not enough magenta out there. Perfect straight left and a right hand follow-up by Rigondeaux. And Marroquin now has the second knockdown of his pro career.
Ocho, you okay? Está bien?
That's that Predator offense.
Yep.
Well, he doesn't have huge power, but even standing right in front of you and throwing a simple 1-2, he can hit you with shots that you don't see coming.
And it's
so slick and so quick.
And it's the speed of his punches, Jim. It's not really necessarily the power. He has great velocity and speed on his punches when he throws them. That's what makes him so dangerous and deadly.
I think he's got some pretty good power.
Well, it translates to power.
That's
but
right.
I agree with Roy. It's the speed. It's the fact that he's deceptive. He feints. You don't see it coming. I mean, I think there's a valid comparison to Sergio Martinez in the way that he translates his speed into power.
That's exactly right.
It's not heavy-handed power.
That's what I was trying to say.
Lightning strike power.
No, it's not Sonny Liston, George Foreman thudding power.
Oh, good right hand.
Yep. Marroquin's still fighting. And this is probably what he should have done all along.
He sure should have. Why not? You're getting caught anyway.
And Rigondeaux has been rocked a couple times in this fight pretty badly, but he's kept his cool. I mean, the composure is really outstanding.
Rigondeaux's 31, Marroquin's 23. The young American has a pretty bright future in the sport. He continues to learn. Rigondeaux already has a glorious past.
Those are PhD. He's getting his PhD in here with Rigondeaux.
He sure is. The only other thing I think Marroquin didn't do enough is I don't think he jabbed enough. Had he jabbed a little bit more, it would have made Rigondeaux keep his hands home a little more and gave him an opportunity to throw more punches.
Well, how many times have we seen it, Roy, that a conventional American fighter, a guy with a style like Marroquin, will give up on the jab early against a slick southpaw defender? You just get it into your head, you can't land it.
It happens all too often.
And with the jab, of course, part of it is about landing the punch. But you need to keep throwing it to keep your rhythm, set up your other punches, set up your defense. If you give away all that, you haven't helped yourself.
You're killing yourself.
That's one of the ways in which Marroquin got outthought in the ring tonight. Not totally outfought, but outthought by Guillermo Rigondeaux. Let's take a look at a perfect 1-2. Yep. Opposite combination, not the 1-2, really a 2-1.
That's exactly right. Through a left hand, followed by a crossing right jab, which was a very powerful punch right there. Great crossing right jab. Similar hook, semi-hook jab.
Right, semi-hook, like hooking off the jab, but just brilliant stuff by Rigondeaux. And maybe it was the reversal of the combination, left instead of right, right instead of left, which made it deceptive for Marroquin.
That's what caused the confusion.
Yep. For me and Marroquin. Sheepish grin for Rigondeaux as his trainer berates him a little bit for getting rocked 2 times by hard punches from Marroquin.
Marroquin landed about 6 punches in the fight. 2 of them did rock Rigondeaux, but you can remember almost every clean punch Marroquin landed because there weren't many.
Yep. Harold, who's judging this fight?
Okay, Jim. Glenn Feldman. Now, you know, Jim, we yelled and screamed that we want good neutral officials to be outside. We got Glenn Feldman, a terrific judge from Connecticut, the founder of the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame. He'll do a good job. Robert Hoyle, Air Force veteran, 34 title fights, always does a nice job. I got faith in him. Ricardo Ocasio, now this is a guy on the way up. So far he's done very, very well in his career. He's rather new, but you know, this is a one-sided fight. I think he'll be fine.
And now Michael Buffer is standing by with the scores, so let's hear who won the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Glenn Feldman scores it 118-108. Robert Hoyle 118-108. And Ricardo Ocasio 118-109, all to the winner by unanimous decision. And still WBA Super Bantamweight World Champion Guillermo El Chacal Rigondeaux.
Fascinating. In that shot, they don't even look as though they should be in the same weight class. Rigondeaux remains unbeaten as a professional. Final CompuBox numbers, he swamped Marroquin, landing 122 more, throwing 295 more, and landing at a significantly higher connect percentage. Power punches, let's see if Rigondeaux landed more than half. Close, 43%, as he lands 73 more power punches, throws 60 more, and holds Marroquin to only 20% connect percentage on his big shots. And a look at Punch Zone. As you orient yourself to all of our graphic schemes, this one tells you where the punches landed. And on Rigondeaux, you can see that there were 45 punches landed to the head, but only 11 body shots in the whole fight. And perhaps Marroquin should have worked harder to invest in the body and see if he could wear Rigondeaux down a bit, maybe put that size advantage to work. Landed on Marroquin, 84 shots to the left side of Marroquin's head. That's the jab and hook side.